All right, let's fix up our structural model now. We got our beams and columns in. So let's add some brace frame in here. Let's fix the beams that are still a little bit off first. So I think the best way to do this systematically would be to move our sections to this bottom left bay and just work through each one, just to make sure that they're all okay. So this one looks like it's a little bit wonky. So I think for this, all we have to do, I'm going to toggle views here. I'm going to go to my level 2, hit WT to toggle my views, or you can go up to the view tab and tile views to get the views. So I'm going to select this beam framing system. And actually the other thing I'm going to do here, so we're in Revit, we can't see our beams anymore because they're beneath the slab, obviously. So um, let us make this floor. We'll turn off this floor. So go to your visibility graphics, go on to floors, and uncheck the floors under model category floors, so we can see. I'm going to actually hit a line, and I'm going to align this. Oh yeah, that's one of the issues too, is that our beam system is putting a beam right next to this end beam. So let's see, we have them spaced at 6 feet on center at a fixed distance. Let's make it a max. Oops, let's make it a maximum spacing so that it doesn't put that one at the end. And let us change the spacing so that the beams are going to be that will align to these columns that we have. So we'll select the beam system, and let's see what's the beam spacing that we would want here. So I'm going to take in the center of this beam, and go into the center of this column. And so what I think we should do is make this beam, let's see, mental math. We're going to, let's make the spacing 7'1" and 15/16 and see how that, 7'1" and 30 seconds. So that'll make that center beam line up, but not these others. And I'm assuming if we let's see. We'll make this beam spacing smaller. That's better. This is likely far more beams than we would need in real life, having only 4 feet between the beams and some change. But why not double it and see what that looks like? So let's try. Oops, is that the beam spacing? Not quite. We got 4 foot, so let's make it So if I hit tab, that's how I'm getting the whole beam system. So it would be, let's see, 8'1". Gets us pretty darn close to being centered on these columns here. That looks much better. And so we can grab all of these beam systems. I'll edit this group since this one is a group. Make it 8'1", and instead of fixed distance, maximum spacing. Try that again, 8'1". We can select these ones that are not in the group. We'll have to do those on each floor, but that's okay. Sometimes drafting can be tedious. So often when I'm drafting, I'll listen to music or an audiobook, depending on the level of involvement that isn't required from me. So sometimes if I'm answering a bunch of emails or doing something more complex, my brain can't handle listening to an audiobook. And so I'll listen to music or something. But I do like to listen to audiobooks while I'm drafting when I can. That helps some of these tasks go by quicker. I kind of almost shut my brain off and just kind of go through. And when it's a kind of a repetitive task like this, it makes it a little bit easier. And sometimes it depends, obviously, if there's too much thinking involved, I can't pay attention to a book. And sometimes I'll put on an audiobook that I've listened to before and don't really need to pay attention to, but just to have some background or podcast. So I got that floor done. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over here to level 2, the structural. I'm going to right click and I'm going to create a view template from view. I think this is the first time we've talked about view templates. I'm going to create a view template and I'm going to call it structural plan, and then hit OK. What a view template is over here on your properties palette, on any view sheet you're in, you can assign a view template. So we'll click view template here, right here on the properties where it says none, and we'll create our structural framing plan. Is that the one we just created? I think it is. I can actually check real quick. Yeah, edit. Yeah, I think it's the structural plan. And then so what I'm going to do is go up here to drafting views, or sorry, not plan views, and then create the level 3 and 4. Hit OK. I'm going to open up 4. And I can actually come over here to the project browser, select both 3 and 4, and select the structural plan, and it will apply the view that I have made, the view template, to the structural plans with the floor turned off. So the view template will actually control a lot of these. It'll control all these categories and different view range and a lot of other things, so that you can create a view template and then apply it to other views. So let's say you have to turn off a lot of things in a view. You could create a view template and then apply it to the view, and then it will automatically add the settings from the view you created it from. And so if you want to not include certain categories, so let's say you want to change the view range, which is often something I'll do, I'll uncheck view range so that I can adjust that in the individual views instead of globally with this view template. Or a Revit link. Sometimes bigger projects, I have Revit links. There's quite a few of them, and I'll have different overrides that I'll apply. And so I want that to happen to all the Revit links. So I'll control that and unselect that so I can control that individually. So I'm going to try to window over all of this, go to filter, check none, and then structural beam systems. So now I've got all the structural beam systems and I can change them together. So 8'1", and then maximum spacing. 8'1". And now it'll fix all of those. I can go to level 3. The same thing, window over everything, hit the filter, check none, structural beam systems, okay. Let's change it to maximum spacing first, then we can hit 8'1". As I could see, if you change it after it was changing it back to the, must be the default 6-foot spacing. So now our beams are the same. Let's go to our view tab, hit plan view, and then let's create a roof plan. Let's apply our view template over here under identity data, structural plan. And then now we can see our floor framing again. Let's window over everything, hit the filter. Filters on the modify tab if you haven't picked that up. I only check structural beam systems. And now we can change it to maximum spacing and 8'1". And then it'll fix our spacing here. So now we've fixed all of our spacing. Let's go through and go to our section and now recheck our beams. So that all looks good as I'm going through here. Appears that all of our beams, at least on level 1, so I'm just panning over with the middle mouse click, are at the bottom of the slab. Nothing is off kilter. Looks good. And looks like they're all good. Alrighty, so let's go to our other section. The one that's going the short direction. Go to view. Let's move it over here and check these. These look good as well. You can see here we've got our Revit link in the background. And it looks like our beam systems are good. So now, since we're in the roof, let's go, let's grab the floor. So in this structural plan, I can go to select the view template under identity data. Go over here to the model categories overrides and then recheck floor. Hit OK. And now that applies to all of the floors. Let's see. Let's go to our first section and see why these look funky. Yeah, so it looks like all these ones. That's a good to know. We can check all these beams. And make sure we have that negative 1.5 inches. As you can see, so I'm holding Control down to add to my selection. Now I can give them, let's see, what doesn't it like? Yeah, so I accidentally select a pinned one. So now I can give it all a negative 1.5, negative 1.5. And now my beams will go beneath the slab. That's okay. Yeah, and something about that, it likes to move these down, which is why they're getting a little off kilter. See, is there a good way to reset these without having to like go into your plan view? Doesn't appear to be. edit boundary, reset system, hit OK. Edit boundary, reset system, and then hit OK. So we can just go through, select the beam system. So what I'm able to do is just, I can see highlighting that dashed line in the section view, go into my plan view, and any plan view would work for this. Hitting edit boundary, hitting reset system, then green check. Edit boundary. If I'm not in that plan view, it'll ask me to open a plan view that I can do it in. Edit boundary, reset system. Edit boundary, reset system, and kind of continue to go through this last one. And take a quick look at the other ones. Seems like the other ones are okay, but again, it's pretty easy to fix them. So not a big deal if there's any that are missed at this point. And so the next thing I wanted to do was, let's go to our section view. Let's select the roof. And I want to change the direction of the deck is spanning. So I'm going to select the decks in each view, and then I'm going to edit boundary. And then I'm going to change the span direction to, let's see. Oops, I actually want the span direction to go on the long side. So the span direction will go on the long side. I think. No, well, that was right the first time. Sorry. Got a little bit discombobulated. So edit boundary and a plan view, change span direction to the short side, and then hit OK. Let's see, I'm trying to think. In our architectural model, is that the right direction? Yes, it is, because our Revit model, we can actually see our architectural model in the background here. So let's select this floor. We can actually don't even have to go to that floor plan. We can edit it here. Span direction, short side, and then it'll match. So say we go to the next level, edit boundary, span direction, short side, hit OK. And last one, edit boundary. If you forget to go back to that view, you can go back to the roof view or really any view. And now our floor is going in the correct direction and matching our architectural plan. And if we realize it's wrong, it's not a big deal just to go back there and change it. So let's actually go, let's open up our third floor. Just check that out, see if there's any beams popping through. Looks good. Fourth floor and second floor. All look good. So now the next thing I want to do, let's open up our level 2. And in the middle here, we're going to add some beam braces. So go ahead and do your structure tab and then go to brace. We're going to add some brace framing, as you can see there. We're going to load family and go to structural framing, steel, and let's see, is this one going to be missing also? Yeah, the hollow structural sections. I do not see them in here. That is unfortunate, but not an issue. So we need to go to the Insert tab before we go to the brace load Autodesk family. Instead of W shape, we'll type in HSS to get the hollow structural section rectangular. We'll want the one that's angular here, not the column or the detail views. Let's see. Actually, I think we want this hollow structural section. Yeah. Yeah, let's scroll down and get this hollow structural section. That's what HSS, or it's called tube steel, often shortened as or called tube steel, but it's a hollow structural section is what that HSS stands for. So we'll load that in, and let's load in a 8 by 8 by ½ inch. Now we can go back to structure and go to brace. We can go from the end here, or the middle of this column. Let's see, what's the overall distance? 24 foot. So let's go over 12 feet. So you can just type 1, 2, and then we'll come from the other side and also type 1, 2. Now if we go to this elevation, just double click on that little arrow. Oh, we better fix this one up. Remember to check crop view and crop region visible. You can double click on it or go up to edit crop view. Draw a new rectangle. Hover over the old one. Hit tab to delete the old one easily. And then hit OK. And in this, I'm going to go to my view graphics, visibility graphics, by hitting VG or on the properties palette. I'm going to make this underlay as well, so we can see our braces that we just put in. So what we can do here, you see the brace goes through the ceiling. The brace will actually stop at the bottom of this beam. So what will happen is, let's see, I'm going to try to trim extend by using the bottom of this beam and trim it back. So that the brace here is, because what'll happen is there'll be a knife plate here, or it'll be a steel plate that they'll likely cut through the middle of this tube and then weld it there, bolted onto it. And let me see. I think what I want to do is make it centered on this beam. So what I'm doing is drawing a detail line centered on the beam flange, which is the bottom of the beam. I'm going to grab this. Oops. It tried to pull it out. Let me see here. What's the best way to do this? Let me see here. I'm just going to draw a line from this middle of this beam using detail line down here to the middle of this beam, or middle of the column. Oops. Use the align command. Grab that center of that line, and then it says unjoin elements. go ahead and unjoin. And we'll do the same thing to this one. And we'll mirror it across the middle of this beam. Interesting. So when I try to trim to it, it wants to extend to the center of this beam, I think is what it's trying to do. So I think that works. Let's do that again just to make sure that we're all on the same page. So I was level 2. I went to structure, brace beam. Started in the center here of this column. I went over 12 feet. Let's go. So what was the overall distance? 24. So let's go over 12 foot 1. Oops, that was 12 foot 4. I'm going to delete that and start again. Sorry. So beam brace. Yes, save the project. Go to the center of this column. Let's just go over 12 foot 1. Oh, that was off axis. Undo. This is why you shouldn't drink and draft. So center of the column. Come at 90-degree angle from the center of that column out 12 foot 1. We'll hide 12 foot 1. Keep saying that it's slightly off axis. I'll turn off the floor again so I can see what's going on below here. All right, looks good to me. Let's just mirror while we're in this view. Go to your modify tab, mirror with an axis by drawing an axis. You want to select that brace that we drew first, then mirror. Type SM to get the midpoint, and then draw over. Keep saying it's slightly off axis. It doesn't appear to be. And maybe they're just talking about in the vertical direction. Let's go to our elevation again just to check it out. So looks like we've got some more options over here for the end attachment. So startle attachment is level 1. Ooh, we got some connections in here too. We'll leave that alone for right now. End attachment, we do a ratio. Yeah, I'm not sure what that is. So We're going to leave that alone and make the distance let's make that 6 feet. Let's just go ahead and undo. Don't do any of that. It's doing some weird. I think that do not know enough about. Let's undo until that one disappears that we mirrored, and then redo once. And let's just trim like we did before. Let's create a group out of these. So select both of them. Go to create group. And we'll call it brace frame 1. And then copy. And let's hit Control C to copy. And then I really like this paste aligned to selected levels. So we want 2 through 4. Hit OK. And now we've got our brace frame all the way up. You can see that it's slightly into that column. So we can trim it back. And hopefully it does it on the other levels. Yeah. I was talking to somebody about groups. Sometimes groups are weird and things outside of the group are trying to grab hold of the group and pull it out. And so that's kind of what was going on here, is that beams want to connect to columns. So like if you were to select this beam, this brace, you can see how the little grips are at the ends. And so it's trying to connect, and it gives it an offset based on the beam and column depth. So sometimes beams and columns can act a little bit weird because they're trying to auto connect. So let's copy this group, all these groups, hit CO or go up here to copy. Grab the center of this column. Make sure you got the center. And then copy them to the left so that we have this brace frame in both these bays here. What this will do is it'll keep the building from going back and forth. And let's grab all of these again. Go to our level 2 plan. Hit copy again, CO, CC, or up here on the modify tab. Grab the center of that column, and we'll bring them all the way over to this side. So now if we were to go to our 3D view, we have these braces on both sides. We're also going to add some braces on the either side of this big tower too. So on level 2, let's add a brace by going to the structure tab, brace. And let's go from the center of this column to the center of this column. Let's check that out. We can actually even trim it in 3D view here. So if we go to modify tab, trim extend, select the bottom of the beam, And if it helps, let's turn off go to view graphics and the Revit links and just hide the architectural model. And we can trim this back to the bottom here. I'm trying to figure out here is just, I'm going to come back and fix these braces. What I'd like it to do is go from this corner up here to the column. Just like over here, I was trying to get it more centered. But for some reason, they are not wanting to cooperate. But it is likely because I'm not telling Revit what to do correctly. So here, if I change the ratio, so I selected the beam and changed it from, instead of distance, to ratio. And I'm changing this value. I can get the beam to, oops, I tried to do feet and inches, but it won't. So what I want to do is 0.05 to see if that gives me the angle that I want. So I'm going to point 0.02. 0.01. I think that'll be good. So I ended up with 0.005. I'm going to mirror along the middle here again. So go to the mirror by drawing an axis and select the middle. And then I'm going to group both of these. And I'm going to call it brace frame 2. I can go to this south elevation, which is technically going to be the west elevation. I'm going to go to view graphics, turn off my Revit link. And then copy these up. Oh, actually, we're going to Control-C and paste to selected levels again and go 2 through 4. And then let's mirror these. Or actually, we can just copy them across. So we go to level 2, hit CC, CO, copy up here, grab the middle of the beam to the middle of the other side. And now we are starting to get more of structural elements frames. So these brace frames, I'm going to come in here. I'm going to try messing with that ratio again. I'm going to change it from distance and the ones on the end to ratio. And I'm going to do 0.1, 0.9. Let's try 0.6. Try that for both of them. I don't want them to connect. So maybe 0.5 is where we want them. Yeah, so what there'll be a knife plate here at the side. Then there'll be a big plate here that they'll both connect into. So yeah, that looks more like it. Looks like it did it for all of them. Let's pan around to the other side. And looking good. I think that we'll call that a video. So we kind of fixed up our beams, we fixed our floor direction, and we added some braces to our building, which will kind of sturdy it up, keep it from falling over. So anyway, if you have any questions, please let me know, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. But all right, other than that, have a good rest of your evening or morning, depending on when you're watching this.